11th and 12th of August 2023, Commonethry Uist, along with the Universities of St Andrews, Aberdeen and UHI, organized the second digital Feis as part of the CEUT project. Over the 2 days, the local community and the researchers celebrated the project's various activities, each built together with the community over the length of the project. The theme of this Feis was Reading the Face of the Land. The community recorded Gaelic place names on a physical and a digital map, an activity inspired by the results of the well-being survey that formed part of this project. The issue of climate change raised in the survey was also explored through a virtual reality experience. Here are some highlights from the weekend's activities.
I used to watch my mother busy making the butter and think it'd be great when I'd be able to do this myself. However, when the time came, it wasn't such a good idea. It took ages and ages to get the butter made.
There we've got the temple at Trainit, one of the first universities in Scotland. You can go into various rooms in there. You can press the little button and it will give you information about different elements of music. The other one that we have is a reconstruction of the old Carnish Hall. And you can also go in there and get music, piping, photographs of the music on North Uist.
Today we're at Chimble and Trainit, and we've had a nice walk to get here, and nice to see so many people here. This is a very, very fine example of a medieval church in Uist, and as well as being a place of worship, it was also regarded as being a place of learning beyond these shores, with people coming from different parts of the country, even different parts of the world, to study here. So it's always been known as a place of some importance. Today, the most famous scholar associated with this site is John Duns Scotus, a well-known theologian who spent time in universities such as Oxford and Cologne in mainland Europe. We don't know for sure if he was, but...
Maar de hoort viel nog koe shalak. Een la, wat je net...
Arst Ugoraň.
So I'll kick off. We're going to ask people to articulate one key hope that they have for digital tools in relation to Gaelic and well-being, and one key question. So my key hope is that from a Gaelic point of view, we can look to technology to compensate, if you like, for a lack, which I perceive, in relation to Gaelic skills, that there is often a thought that language skills are fourfold: speaking, listening, reading, and writing. My challenge to that is, well, actually, from a linguistic point of view, we need to acknowledge the primacy of speech, because that's on which all languages, that's the thing on which all languages depend. So what I'm interested in is how technology can profile their real skills in Gaelic speech. So that's my hope for technology.
My hope is that we can tease out the relationship between Gaelic heritage, which is so twinned with our heritage, and well-being, because my own feeling is that each one of our histories, even if we've only recently come to the island, will be bound up with the culture of that island.
What do we mean by well-being, and what do we you know, how do we measure that? How do we know if we've increased well-being or not? I've got a question about what we mean by digital tools. I think in the work that we do, you know, it's quite hard to define digital, and particularly in the world of heritage and archaeology. It's grown so much that is there anything that's not, that isn't in one way or another, couldn't be defined as having a digital component?
We can continue and find new ways of using things like digital tools and Gaelic, and presenting Gaelic in a really innovative but meaningful and important way, that we can use that to inspire a new generation of heritage professionals.
My question with digital tools is how we can use them in order to hopefully make people accept the reality, use them for monitoring and communicating the impacts of climate change, to eventually inspire action, not only at an individual level, but hopefully at a community level as well.
So the New Economics Foundation have identified 5 key wellbeing components, which include connecting with others, being active, taking notice, keep learning, and giving. So they identified those as the 5 key components of well-being.
There's a question about community well-being on the other hand, and are they linked, and if so, how? And by further extension, and we've done it to some extent with our linkage to Gaelic through this project, the notion of if we're talking about human well-being or individuals' well-being or even communities' well-being, does it make sense to talk about a language's well-being as well?
It's the communities themselves that need to decide what they think is well-being as far as they are concerned. And I think that's important. It needs to come from them. Otherwise, you end up sort of external actors imposing views on the community. And this has been happening certainly in the Outer Hebrides for many years, one way or the other, and particularly with Gaelic. This idea of well-being is, to my mind, really, really important, but it needs to be defined so it's meaningful. And as far as measuring it is concerned, again, that's an issue for community members. But it also means not just a wee cohort of community members.
The second point I want to make is one about straddling different worlds, straddling inner city worlds on the mainland, and yet having been privileged to have a heritage here and come up since I was a child. And the thing that always struck me as a child from my family backgrounds here and on other islands, that the community was very, very special. And it supported each other in quite distinctive ways, quite unique ways. We did all the harvesting, the herding as a child. There were no fences. We did everything in common, getting in peats, everything, building peat stacks. We did as a township. And that seemed to me to be a very useful model of sustainability.
One of the great things about heritage is that it is something that brings human beings together. That there is a human experience which goes beyond communities, and I think digital tools can enable communities to articulate that heritage in ways which can reach beyond the community and reach out to other communities, and in that way kind of overcome barriers and boundaries. And to me, that's the touchstone, the extent to which digital tools can bring people together and overcome the sort of barriers of prejudice and racism.
What got me thinking a little bit was about unpacking digital tools, and for me, almost the immediate definition would be the increasing access that digital tools provide. So in this case, it's the immediate access to the heritage that we're exploring. And then if I had to link it back to language and digitizing language, what springs to mind is a question of how to digitize a language, how to bring language into the digital medium, because you could simply, have a book and create an ebook or an audiobook of it, or record some music, but then to make it really a living digital representation, I feel it should be more day-to-day kind of language.
The term digital tools possibly needs to be turned on its head a bit, and it should be about what the outcome is and not the tools that we use for the job.
Thanks very much, everyone. It's been good to sit around the table and have this exchange, and hopefully it leads to more communication and more discussion. Thank you all very much.
Shitir na glas volia veren senoi. Men the ships sailing down the broomy law, broken families in lands we've harried, will curse Scotland the brave name e'er